Muhammad Rashid is there. Today, I will discuss very interesting topic, which is understanding the psychology of motivation with Maya.
Hi, what's going on?
Today, I will discuss very interesting topic, understanding the psychology of motivation. Are you ready for that?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that sounds surprisingly up my alley, actually. Bring it on. What's on your mind with motivation psychology?
So much for that. Now, I would like
So,
to
where do you
ask
want to start with that?
a question.
It's a
What
pretty broad
basic
topic, and I
psychological
don't want to
needs
just launch
must
into
be
a
satisfied
lecture,
to
you know?
motivate someone
What
effectively?
specifically about the psychology of motivation are you chewing on right now?
I am discussing basic needs. Are you there? Hello, Maya.
Hey, Rashid, good to hear from you again. Still thinking about motivation, or did something else pop up?
Yes, I want to discuss very basic psychological need must be satisfied to motivate someone effectively. Elaborate with real life examples.
All right, cool. So we're talking Maslow's hierarchy, basically, though it's not the only framework. It's a good starting point. The idea is people are motivated when their basic needs are met, right? Like if someone's worried about where their next meal is coming from, or if they're exhausted and don't have a safe place to sleep, they're not going to be super focused on like writing a novel or climbing the career ladder. Survival comes first. Take a nurse working a double shift. They're driven by the physiological need for a paycheck to provide for their family. Then, a student studying late at night is prioritizing safety and security, getting good grades to secure their future. Once those are covered, then they can start thinking about belonging, joining a study group, making friends. And finally, once those are all ticking, they can focus on things like self-esteem, getting recognition for their work, and self-actualization, pursuing their passions. Does that kind of land? Or are you thinking about it more from a work context specifically?
Thank you. Now I would like to ask, how does intrinsic motivation differ from extrinsic motivation, and why does intrinsic motivation produce stronger, longer lasting result? Explain with research or real life example. Take at least 3 to 5 minutes.
Gotcha. Okay. So intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation is huge. Extrinsic motivation is basically doing something for an external reward, a raise, good grades, avoiding punishment, whatever. It's I do this to get that. Intrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is doing something because it's inherently enjoyable or interesting. It's I do this because I like it. Now, why is intrinsic motivation stronger? A lot of it boils down to self-determination theory, pioneered by Deshi and Ryan. They found that people are most motivated when they feel a sense of autonomy, feeling in control of their actions, competence, feeling capable and effective, and relatedness, feeling connected to others. Extrinsic rewards can actually undermine those things. Think about it like this. If you're only doing something for the reward, you don't necessarily feel like you're choosing it freely. That kills the autonomy piece. And if the reward is taken away, the motivation disappears. You're left with nothing. There's a classic study from the early 70s by Lepper Green and Nisbet, where they gave kids a chance to draw with markers. Some were just allowed to draw freely, while others were rewarded with a certificate for doing so. Later, when left to their own devices, the kids who had been rewarded actually drew less than the ones who hadn't. The reward had undercut their intrinsic enjoyment of drawing. A real-life example? Think about a hobby you genuinely love. Maybe it's painting, coding, playing an instrument. You do it because it feels good, because you enjoy the process. You don't need someone to pay you or praise you to keep doing it. It's self-sustaining. Now, imagine someone starts paying you to paint. Suddenly, it feels less like a passion and more like a job. That initial spark can fade. Even in the workplace, it's clear. Someone who's genuinely passionate about their field, a scientist driven by curiosity, a teacher who loves helping students learn, is going to be more engaged, more resilient, and ultimately more successful than someone who's just chasing a paycheck. Doesn't mean extrinsic rewards are bad necessarily. They can be useful in the short term, but for long term, sustainable motivation, intrinsic motivation is where it's at. It's about finding work or activities that align with your values and interests and fostering a sense of mastery and purpose. It's a little bit more complex and definitely a lot more rewarding. Does that make sense?
Thank you
No
so much
problem.
for that. Now, I would like to ask how do rewards and punishment influence long term motivation, and when they can reward actually reduce interval motivation? Explain with researches or some real life examples. Take at least 3 to 5 minutes.
All right, let's dive into rewards and punishments and their tricky relationship with motivation. You're right to ask about when rewards can actually backfire because it's a surprisingly common thing. So let's start with punishment. Generally, punishment is effective for stopping unwanted behaviors in the short term, but it's a terrible strategy for building long-term motivation. Why? Because it creates fear and resentment. People avoid the punishment, but they don't necessarily internalize the desired behavior. It suppresses the behavior rather than transforming it. Think about a kid who gets grounded for lying. They might stop lying to avoid getting grounded again, but they haven't necessarily learned why honesty is important. They're motivated by fear, not by a genuine desire to be truthful. Now, rewards are more nuanced. As we touched on before, extrinsic rewards can be great for getting someone to do something they wouldn't otherwise do, but they can erode intrinsic motivation. This is where something called over-justification effect comes in. Edward Deci, again, one of the big names in self-determination theory, did a lot of research on this. His work showed that offering rewards for activities people already find enjoyable can actually decrease their enjoyment. It's like saying, we don't trust you to do this unless we pay you. The message undermines their internal desire to do it. Think about a volunteer organization. If they suddenly started paying volunteers, you might see fewer people volunteering. Because the activity is no longer purely altruistic, it's now tied to an external reward. It changes the framing of the activity. There's also research showing that frequent, low-value rewards can be particularly demotivating. It feels like controlling rather than appreciation. But it's not all doom and gloom with rewards. Unexpected rewards, bonuses, thank you notes, public recognition can actually boost motivation, especially if they acknowledge competence and effort. It's the predictability and control that's the problem. A real-life example, sales commissions. They can be effective in the short term, but if salespeople are solely focused on hitting their target or an commission, they might engage in unethical behavior or neglect long-term customer relationships. Another example, many schools over-rely on sticker charts and prizes to encourage good behavior, which can lead kids to behave well only when they expect a reward and lose motivation when the rewards stop. The key takeaway? Rewards and punishments are tools, but they need to be used carefully. Focus on fostering intrinsic motivation by creating opportunities for autonomy, competence, and relatedness. And when using extrinsic rewards, make them unexpected, meaningful, and focused on recognizing effort rather than just outcome. Does that explain it pretty well? Are you still with me
Thank
on that
you.
one?
Yes, of course. Thank you for that. Now, I would like to thankful to you. See you later with new topic. Allah Hafiz.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm glad I could help Rashid. Allah Hafiz to you too. Have a good